The world of solo leveling is filled with monsters, chaos, and an army of shadows led by none other than Jinwoo, the Shadow Monarch himself. But there's one question fans still ask. Why didn't Baruka, the fierce and fearsome beast, become one of Jinwoo's shadows? First, let's talk about the mechanics of shadow extraction and solo leveling. Jinwoo's ability allows him to turn the corpses of defeated enemies into loyal shadow soldiers. Cool, right? But there's a catch. For shadow extraction to work, a few things need to fall into place. The body must be mostly intact. The target's willpower must not resist the process. And finally, the stronger the opponent, the harder it is to extract their shadow. Now let's apply these rules to our boy Bakura. Baruka didn't exactly go down easy. This guy was a monster, literally. He was a high-ranking beast sent by the monarchs, with strength that could obliterate entire teams of hunters. But Jinwoo? Oh, he didn't just beat Baruka, he demolished him. Just like every other enemy Jinwoo came across in solo leveling. When the dust settled, Baruka probably looked like a crumpled bag of chips, and that's a big problem for shadow extraction. Rule number 1, if there's no body, there's no shadow. Jinwoo said, "This is beyond repair." And just like that, Baruka was disqualified. Jinwoo himself did say that his current shadows would be able to handle the ice elves, so I guess they were too weak for him to consider replacing his current shadows with. That's what I think, or the only reason why Jinwoo didn't make the elves into shadows. It does make sense that Igris and Iron helped Jin take out Baruka, while the other shadows decimated all the other Hyaki. Even if they were stronger than normal shadows, it really wasn't by much and not enough to be worth replacing them with another group, and keep in mind that every shadow group has a commander in solo leveling. Also in solo leveling, didn't Jinwoo take time to level up his knights as well, and that's why the elves got cooked. And also it was a red gate where he wasn't prepared for it, and also had no time to collect the shadow in my opinion, because the gate was about to close. Next, let's talk about willpower in solo leveling. The stronger the enemy, the more likely they'll resist becoming a shadow. And Baruka wasn't just strong, he was one of the monarch's chosen beasts. That means his mind, body, and soul were deeply tied to their cause. When Jinwoo tried to extract Baruka, his resistance would have been off the charts. Imagine his spirit shouting, "You may have defeated me, but I won't serve you." And well, Jinwoo's magic wasn't about to argue. Now, let's be real for a second. Jinwoo's shadow army, it's like an elite sports team. Only the strongest, the most iconic, and the most useful enemies get drafted. Baru, MVP, Igris, fan favorite. Even Tusk has his moments. But Baruka, let's just say he didn't quite have that at Factor. Sure, he was strong, but he wasn't exactly shadow material. Jinwoo wasn't about to waste his time on someone who wouldn't bring anything new to the team. I just believe that Jinwoo's army was just already stronger than the elves, but it did look like the elves were op when they first entered the gate. Another reason why Jinwoo couldn't turn Baruka into a shadow in solo leveling is because he was just too strong to make a shadow, out of which also could be the case. And also he was trying to hide his powers from the others. Other solo leveling fans also think that the writer didn't want Jinwoo to be too overpowered if he did make a shadow out of Bakura. In solo leveling, here's something a lot of people overlook. Baruka wasn't just any monster, he was tied to the monarchs. These beings are the ultimate antagonists in solo leveling, and their forces aren't like your average dungeon mobs. It's possible that the magical connection between Bakura and the monarchs prevented his shadow from being extracted. Remember when Jinwoo said, "The monarch's influence, it runs deeper than I thought." Whatever the reason, it's clear Baruka's loyalty to the monarchs remained even in death, keeping him from joining Jinwoo's ranks. And now, the final ultimate reason why Baruka didn't become a shadow. The author's choice. That's right. Sometimes it all comes down to narrative decisions. Not every enemy needs to become a shadow. Baruka served his role as a stepping stone for Jinwoo's journey to ultimate power. By not making him a shadow, the story stayed focused on more impactful characters like Baru, Igris, and Tusk. Let's face it, Baruka just wasn't important enough to stick around. His defeat, memorable, his legacy, forgettable. And that's okay. I feel Baruka would have been a great soldier for Jinwoo if he was able to make him into a shadow. The way Baruka was fighting Jinwoo Tusk and Igris looked like Baruka was that guy. Imagine if Naruka and Jinwoo was fighting together and how dynamic that team would have been, but they don't want Jinwoo to beat a op. Am I right? Not like he already is or anything. So what can we learn from Baruka Fate? Not every battle is about what you gain. Sometimes it's about what you overcome. Bakura was a reminder that Jinwoo's journey wasn't just about collecting shadows. It was about proving his dominance, one victory at a time. And while Baruka didn't make the cut, his defeat was another step on Jinwoo's path to becoming the ultimate Shadow Monarch. So there you have it, the full breakdown of why Baruka didn't join Jinwoo's Shadow Army. Between the rules of shadow extraction, Baruka willpower, and the narrative focus of the story, it just wasn't meant to be. But hey, not everyone can stand in the shadow of greatness. Now go reread Solo Leveling and look for all the other times Jinwoo proves why he's the GOAT. And remember, not all enemies deserve a second chance.